So, more paintings. Nice woodland scene there. I think that was probably inspired from an Abereron scene in Wales that we used to walk down Llanaceron path quite often, and scenes like that. I think I should sign that one in blue. That's a nice simple landscape. I often say that the simplest watercolours are often the best. It's the medium of simplicity. Most difficult medium to paint. Got what I was saying. But nice loose watercolour. Some deer in a misty woodland. A lot of deer where I live here. And they do a lot of hunting in this area. I don't hunt myself, but obviously the deer are too smart for them because there's a lot of them about. And again, just nice, simple watercolor. No detail, but there's the illusion of detail. Oh, let's put a red signature on that one. Did really well on YouTube, that video. It's funny, YouTube, that some videos you think are going to do really well and they don't get many views, and the ones that you think should do well don't necessarily do well. That'd be two paintings on that, and sometimes I have done that. If I've done a painting that I think, wow, I'm not overly pleased with it, I'll paint on the other side. That's Aberystwyth Harbour. So if you do buy one of these, you might get two paintings. You never know. Don't worry if you don't want to buy a painting. You might be an artist yourself doing lots of paintings yourself, so you're not necessarily looking to buy paintings, but you're welcome to enjoy these videos and just see some art, and you never know, you might even find some inspiration. A lot of these have been actually demos as well. So watercolor paper, you can paint on both sides. So if there's something you've done, you're not, because I suppose as an artist, your early works, you then get better. So the stuff that you was pleased with at the time, you perhaps no longer want it, you can then paint on the other side. And that was just a practice that with the nondescript pile. And if you've got something that you don't really want to keep at all, like for instance that one there, what I would do is just put acrylic gesso over the whole lot and use it for oil painting practice or something. But not that one, that's quite nice. That's quite nice, that one. That's somewhere in Wales. Nice light. That's based in that one scene there. That's Lake Vesuvier in France. Been there loads of times. It's not far from where we live, so I suppose it's almost a last stop on the way home. I think that's can't remember what it's called. It's somewhere in Wales. So I've got a lot of scenes of Wales because I've lived in Wales for a while, and obviously France. That's Elan Valley again. So Kate's putting these on the website for sale. But obviously it'll take quite a while to get these all on there for sale. So if there's anything you want to buy now, just send us a message and we can strike a deal. That's Crozon, Valley of the Painters. That was painted on location, that one. It's based on a village in France. In the Indre. This year, remember that. And that's Key of the Roses or something in Belgium, I think, possibly. We have a red signature on that one because that's quite a warm painting. Venice. Artists have been painting Venice for many, many years. Haven't been yet, maybe one day. Self-portrait, again practicing portraits. Put that in the miscellaneous file, that one. Another misty woodland. Go for blue signature on that one. It's obviously a blue painting, and quite often, you know, I think I try to give the painting a dominant colour for harmony. And I do like painting animals. Don't do that many. That I'm not sure they're that popular on my YouTube channel, but I'll certainly share a few on the members page on my website. So Kate, perhaps I'll stick that in my sketchbook, that one. Yeah, and that was just a practice one. Well, that's quite nice. I say sometimes, you know, that's perhaps an older painting or maybe a demo or something, just a quick demo, and I've painted on the other side. That's a scene from England. Signature on there, we've got a nice bit of green. Should put it there. Let it stand out, be proud. So I don't know why I've not signed a lot of these. Maybe I just think sometimes that is it finished? Is it, you know, what's something I want to keep? What's it could hopefully sell some. One's been signed. A nice misty river. So again, a senior member shared the photo. A bridge over a woodland based on Cornwall. That one there. That one is Oxford. Traditional red post box in the UK. I have to say the Royal Mail were very good. I used to sell a lot of artwork in the UK, and I used to use Royal Mail. But I use another courier called Happy Post these days, which are very good. Not had any problems with them. And all the parcels that are sent to tracked. Anyway, that's based in somewhere in Wales. Burnham-on-Sea. I remember that because I did a sketch on location there, and later developed it into a painting. Added the figures and so on. Horses on the beach in Gwithian, in Cornwall. I imagine if you're a horse rider, riding horses on the beach is pretty cool. Just the impressions of horses, really. They're not detailed horse portraits. Figures on the beach. It's at Sarzay Chateau, not far from where I live. A 14th century chateau. Not, I could probably do with a glaze over it at some point, so we'll file that in there. Do something with it. An old house in France. Sunlight bursting through the trees. It's quite nice. There's a lot of paintings here, so I might have to break this up into a couple of videos really, because you'll soon get bored. I shall try and remember to sign them as I finish them. Be confident and proud of the work, and it is what it is. Sign it, and then it can go in the suitcase, ready for Kate to list. And see a lot of these water towers here in France. Great for something to add in a painting. See a scene I did paint slightly larger. Another one of Chassignol there. Keep that to one side because it's quite nice. One's full of atmosphere. Paint scenes like that all day long. This is obviously a pile from last year. As I just haven't done anything with these watercolours other than paint them for such a long time. You never know, there might be someone out there who wants to buy one of these. But I used to sell through Etsy in the UK quite a bit. But I just have my own website now, which does get a lot of views. I think mainly people looking to paint. Seascape on that one. Two for one, that one. Got a seascape on that side, and then a countryside thing on that one. Again, north of England. So we've got a member who's good with his camera and has shared some really good reference images for us to paint from. There's another one there, possibly. Another one of Elam Valley. Quite nice. Nice simple watercolour. Nice warm greens on that one. Atmospheric, misty, moonlit light landscape. A lone figure walking their dog on the beach. But those of you who follow my demos, you'll know I quite often add a figure walking a dog, seagulls. And that was probably a little study for a larger painting. New York, maybe. Quite nice. Nice little painting. For a small wall, maybe. Again, French sunlight. A very simple painting, that one. And that actually ended up getting, I think, well over 60,000 views on YouTube, which is not the norm for me. Wish it was, but although the channel's heading in the right direction, it's always growing. It's again, Planet Care on Walk, that one there. And that's again a nice little study, little painting that is. It's only probably, I don't know, 5 by 7. That's the Chambon-sur-Voueize in France. It's in the Dordogne in France, the River Dordogne. Snowy Village, probably more of a Christmas card than anything, that one. Another one of Gwythian, my favourite beach. Nice reflections on that one. That was a nice reference. I know I've painted this scene many times. I think that's probably somewhere in America, that one. No idea where that one is. That could be anywhere. North of England. Quite nice. A blue signature on that one. I should put it there. Because you want it to be noticeable, but not to intrude on the painting. That's a scene I painted on location in France. So you always remember the ones you paint on location. I suppose it's quite a big deal setting up and going outdoors painting. So you kind of remember it. Nice clouds in that one. And so with watercolors, sometimes they just go well and they just work. Daffodil. Don't paint many flowers, but I do enjoy painting them when I do. That was quite a challenge, that one, but it's probably based on the Dordogne in France. Newquay in Wales. Again, boats. So it took me years to learn that technique to paint that water like that. It's a bit of a challenge, but it looks good and it goes right. Nice little study there. I think probably used a bit of gouache in that one. But cafe scene. Again, that video did quite well on YouTube, I think. Nice simple watercolor. A pirate ship. Not sure that's going to show up, that signature. It's we use a red one. It's quite nice. Well, I should be looking at the painting, not the signature. That water effect worked really well on that one. I think we can call that one a red painting. So let's have a blue signature down in this corner here. So that probably look quite nice in this dark frame, you know, quite a large white mountain, a dark frame. So you frame these and it transforms the artwork. Same with that one there, that looked good in a nice dark frame. But that's what it's all about, painting lots and lots of watercolors, or painting in general. If you want to get better, those of you who are painters yourself, you know, I think I haven't even got close to the number of paintings that Seago or Sargent ever painted in their life. Retirement I might do, but I try to paint every day. It's quite abstract, that one. Could go that way. Could be a mountain that way with the light coming over the sun coming over the mountain, but I think it was actually painted that way. Don't do a lot of abstract arts, but you could potentially say that's bordering on abstraction. As I paint more traditional scenes like that, sheep grazing by a fallen down tree. But my original profession, I worked in, I started off as a mechanic in a BMW motorcycle garage, and then I ended up in sales. And I can remember doing this in the sales, having to sign lots of documents, finance documents, sales documents, and so on. This is why I kind of developed that sort of quick signature that I could just... But being an artist is much more fun than selling BMW motorcycles. I did enjoy riding the BMW motorcycles, but I've been an artist now for quite a few years. Initially I had part-time jobs alongside it, but I've been full-time as an artist now for I suppose 10 years. There's half a seascape on that one and a full seascape. I think probably painting scenes like this is how I learned to paint watercolour. I really got to grips with the medium. So I didn't talk about that. One's actually the house I'm painting in at the moment, and that was painted on location. A winter scene. Venice again. And I quite like that painting. I did it in oils as well, and I can't remember whether I painted the watercolour first or the oil. But, it worked quite well, I think. It's just a small 8x10. So most of these, they're no bigger than 9 inches by 12 inches, I think. Glorious sunset. And with watercolour, sometimes you need to go quite dark to make it light. Misty river. A lot of paintings. Kate's going to have a fit when she sees all these to have to list. And remember that scene well. That's not far from where I live here. I did an oil painting demo of this. It's my first demo on the channel, and it just took off. It's been signed. It's autumn colours in that one. Poppies. That was on our way to Bordeaux. So many poppies we saw. Portrait study. Work in progress. That one's actually Alsace, that one. Misty landscape. Maybe I shall sort out the piles. So I've got misty ones, French, Wales, and so on. Maybe organise them. Different layout, more sort of a panoramic, although it's very small. Someone might have a wall that's a bit of an odd shape, and that would fit there perfectly, maybe. This is just down the road from us. Snapped the photo early in the morning, and I suppose I could almost sort of see the watercolour straight away, and I go painting that. And again, that's a 2-for-1. Boats on the other side. And I think I painted that scene a couple of times. I think that was the first attempt. So I think I ended up painting that little seascape. I think that's California, I think, possibly. I can't remember now. Aberystwyth. Again, a bit of a panoramic layout. The silhouette of the pier. What we got on the other side. Shipping yard. Quite nice. It's a toss up between which one I like on that. I'll sign both of them, and then whoever buys this can decide which one they like. So I tend to avoid doing that now, painting on both sides. That I suppose earlier on I was trying to save on watercolour paper because it's quite expensive to buy the paper, so it's always nice to sell some paintings to recuperate some costs, because you don't necessarily always get a great deal from YouTube. It certainly helped now I've got membership on my website, people supporting me there, but I dread to think how much I spend on watercolour paper each year. But better than buying, I suppose, cigarettes and things, or alcohol or whatever, that an addiction to buying watercolor paper. Probably better than a lot of things. So quite nice. And we've got a red painting on the other side. Not sure where that is. It's some stones. It was again a reference image shared on by a member. But you know, sometimes it's just the challenge of trying to paint a distant landscape, or you know, the misty effects. They're just simple shapes. There's a little bit of gouache on that one for the highlights and so on. And there I probably would have just used a bit of tissue and just lifted out a bit of paint just to create that sunlight wrapping itself around that rock face. That's quite nice, almost pearlescent effect. And near the end of this pile, again the old stone walls and so on of the north of England. There's a castle on the other side. So that's Aberystwyth Harbour. That one there. Study of a boat. Nice, again, just simple fisherman. Nice peaceful day along the river, hopefully catching a fish or two. Glorious sunshine again. Rocks, waves crashing on the rocks. I'm going to call that Gwithian. It reminds me of what we used to call the sheep's pool. We used to play as children. That's Penzance in Cornwall. View of the harbour and the town off in the distance. Probably the older part of town. That was at Lake Vesuvius. Some boats moored up. Venice. That's at least 3 Venices Again, that video, that painting's done really well on YouTube. I think possibly getting near 100,000 views. And so quite often they nice. But it's got a good light in it. That's a Edward Seago study, and landscape on the other side. It's actually been signed. We'll go with that one. And that's Newport, that one. I think that's it. That'll do for today, I think. So there's several piles to go through, so hopefully you enjoyed that, and let me know in the comments which was your favourite, and I'll see you on another video soon.